So this started out as a review for U.S. Art Supplies, but quickly became a PSA to show you the difference between a drawing pad and a sketching pad, because they're different. So what's the difference between a drawing pad and a sketching pad? Well, at first, I thought there wasn't. In my entire career studying across 2, soon to be 3 different colleges, my professors, my colleagues, and myself referred to drawing and sketching pads interchangeably. They were the same thing, when they're actually very, very different. So here's the difference. A drawing pad is meant for drawing. Okay, I'm kidding. A drawing pad is untextured paper. That's going to be your big difference. While a sketch pad is textured paper, because they're meant more for sketching, the idea of your shading with your lead and pencils, while drawing can be with multiple different types of mediums, such as, well, ink, pencils, even painting. But I didn't know this difference, so I bought this sketchbook from Amazon. It was from the official U.S. Art Supplies store. Now I want to say that I was very disappointed with this, and this is why this was meant to be a review. I ordered 2 sketchbooks. I only got 1. Now Amazon luckily refunded me, but still, that's not exactly good for your company to make little mistakes, but I admit that and I appreciate that you fixed it. However, the paper was a lot flimsier than I'm used to. You see, I'm actually a big fan of the Jack Richardson's drawing pads. They're very nice, very sturdy paper with a weight of 75 pounds, and they're untextured, very solid. I was turned on to these by my visit to the Cuber School, as they gave away one when you entered, and I really like them and plan to order more in the future and use these because I like the scale and the feel of the paper. But I was looking for alternatives that may be a little cheaper. This was $10, but for this, 2 was $12. So I thought that was a good deal. And yeah, I was pretty disappointed still. So roll the footage. So this is a project I've been wanting to do for a while, a swordfish man. Not just for my sci-fi series, but just in general. I've been wanting to do some type of swordfish human hybrid, and I've always had this idea. So I penciled this out, and then the inking process was pretty intense and not the best in the world. The texture paper really didn't like the Sharpies I used, and it was just kind of a little messy and just wasn't as clean, especially trying to get rid of the penciling. It was very picky with the eraser that I had to use. I ended up using a knead eraser, and yeah, so just kind of drew this guy in, and I'll go over everything I used so I can talk about, you know, some of the benefits and what worked, what didn't work with this. But overall, it just felt like I was really just pushing the paper, like I was just about to rip it, that I couldn't handle everything that I wanted to do with it. It was very shady, in the sense of that when I would draw, it felt like it was shedding almost, like it was just shading away different parts of itself, and I ended up with pretty big chunks on my Sharpie when I was working it. So you know, that's the thing about this sketch pad, is it's really only meant for sketches, and I might end up just doing sketch compositions and then try to rip them out and then just try and ink from there, or I'm not really sure what I would really use this for at this point, but I am pretty disappointed with the results that I had. Alright, so this is the composition I came up with. I am pleased with it. It does look nice and very similar to the vision that I wanted. However, with that said though, this was a pain to do and get done on this paper because of the texture, opposed to this drawing pad, which is really more meant for this and can handle it much better. Now, I haven't drawn in this yet. I will soon, so when I do a composition in here, I'll actually be more than happy to show you guys, and that'll probably be the next video I make. We'll see. But yeah, let's go over everything that I used on this paper. First things first, I just used a basic mechanical pencil. It took the pencil very well, and the only real problem was some smudging, but that's really with any paper. Though I did notice that it was quite prevalent in this one. My mechanical eraser, it was very picky to this and did not like it at all. In fact, the other erasers I used it really didn't like except for the kneaded eraser. The other erasers I used was a Staedtler Mars plastic eraser and my kneaded eraser. It really didn't like the Mars plastic. However, it was very accepting and easier to work with the kneaded eraser, which makes sense because with sketching you really do use a kneaded eraser far more than you do use other erasers, so it makes sense. A micron pen, though it did take it pretty well, I was a little worried I was scratching the paper. A master micro pen, and again, it took it well, but I still felt like I might be scratching the paper too much. In fact, I was very careful erasing because this paper really likes to erase the ink on it and not hold it. So that was a big no-no, and I had to re-ink quite a few areas when I erased them in pencil lines. 2 Sharpies, an ultra fine point and a normal point. So yeah, same thing. I really felt like I was just kind of actually damaging the page, like it was shedding a lot, and I didn't like that. So these weren't a lot of fun. That's why I ended up using a paintbrush through most of it. A Staedtler triple fine line coloring pen. These things are really good, and it did take it really well, though I did notice that I had to push down a little harder on the paper to use them, so that was a little concerning at first, but then it was perfectly fine afterwards. Prisma. This thing took Prisma very well actually, and I was very happy with the results I got using Prisma, so I have no complaints. You can freely use a Prisma marker on this thing. Even the tip didn't cause any like shedding or anything on the page, so it was really good experience overall. And lastly, the one that actually worked the worst, the Uniball Signo. This thing is a white pen. I know, sounds weird, but they're a lot of fun. And this thing just really didn't want to work on this page. When I tried inking over a spot that I actually inked before, normally this thing does fine. It usually takes 1, maybe 2, or at the most 3 passes to really get it this white fine line. This thing took quite a few and just wouldn't stick to the paper or the ink, and I don't know why, because when I used this before it was perfectly fine. It did everything I needed to do. It really didn't want to work on this paper, so I don't know if that's just because of the way the paper is designed or the way it's manufactured that's messing with how this thing sticks to paper, or this was just never meant for a sketch pad. That might be the thing. It was only meant for drawing. This thing was the worst thing to use on this. Like, I'll even take using the Sharpies that shed everywhere over this thing. That's how much of a pain this was. So that's everything I used on this sketch paper, and quite a lot of it was a bit of a nightmare. It wasn't a lot of fun, and it was just a lot of tedious work that really it shouldn't have been. And I'm very disappointed with the quality of the paper itself. Now, I freely admit I am using it for a purpose it was not intended, and that was part of the ignorance on my part. My entire career as an artist and learning about art, I always used these terms interchangeably, and everyone I knew always did. However, it still was not fun to work with. The paper does feel cheap. It feels very light. This paper is supposed to be 70 pounds. It does not feel like 70 pounds. It feels more like 40 pounds, opposed to the more solid 75 pounds. Now, again, that's 5 pounds more, but the quality is so different. And again, they are different manufacturers, but still, I expected more out of this, and I'm just very disappointed. From getting the package late, mind you, only getting half of my order, mind you, and yes, I admit I used it for the wrong intended purpose, I am not happy with U.S. Art Supplies. It's just, like, they are just not good. I don't like their sketchbooks. Is this just a one-time bad thing? Possibly, but this is my luck with it. These are my first impressions, and I'm just not happy with them. And I just wanted to let you guys know, hey, use this. Use the Jack Richardson sketchbooks. They're really good. They are very good quality, very nice, very fine, very solid sketchbooks that I heavily recommend. And a bit of a PSA as to the difference between a drawing and a sketch pad. So now you are educated. You know the difference that I didn't know and had to figure out for myself and do research on. And yeah, a lot of people actually don't know the difference. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you understand that this is quite interesting, because I thought it was interesting. It was a little bit of an eye-opener. But with that said, let me know what you guys think of the U.S. Art Supplies sketchpad. Did you like it? Do you use it? Do you have good results with it? Has it been good for your artwork? Let me know in the description down below. I really like your feedback and opinion. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't for more art and toy review content. And leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, because this was a lot of fun to make, and I will admit, it is really nice to see this composition I've had in my head for quite some time to come to life. So, alright, I'll give it that. It did bring my composition to life. So, with that said, have a wonderful day. You take care now, YouTube. Adios.